This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this sunset safari on this fine afternoon. It is a beautiful day, the sun is shining, and there's no wind, it's warm, it's very, very pleasant to be out here. Now, before we get into everything that we're going to be doing this afternoon, I first need to tell you who I am. My name is Tristan, and on camera I have Alex this afternoon, and so hopefully we're going to make a fine team to find you all kinds of amazing things. Now, as per normal, at the start of our drive, we will be dedicating the beginning to the kids around the world. So all of you, it will be nice to have you along for the ride. But in particular, it's a special shout out to our pre-primary and primary school that is joining us from St. Paulus, and Mrs. Robertson's class that are joining us as well. I hope that you guys will have the best afternoon with us, and we'll see lots of interesting things for you. Remember that you can just send through all the questions that you have to kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. And we'll try and answer as many as we can. Now, my plan for the afternoon is to go and check some of the big water holes and see if I can find some big elephants or some buffalo, and then as it starts to cool down, I'm going to be on the hunt for a spotted cat. I think David, who's also out here with me this afternoon, I think he's going to go and try and see if he can find the lions that we found this morning, so that'll be exciting. And then Sean, who's in and beyond Ngala, I'm sure he'll be out and about looking for all kinds of interesting things that occurs that side of the world, like lions and leopards, various other things that are there. So it should be a really good afternoon. I'm sure we'll have lots and lots of things. Like I say, the weather is perfect for a safari at the moment. It's warm enough to bring the animals to water, and like I say, because there's not very much wind, it's perfect for the animals to be out and about. Okay, while I go in search of animals and go and check water holes, let's send you across to Sean at Ngala. He seems to have one of Africa's most iconic animals, and I'm sure he wants to say good afternoon and tell you all about them.
And welcome to this now very lovely day at and beyond Ngala. You are stuck with myself, Sean, and we've got OD behind the camera, Owen, and we have managed to find this lovely little group of zebras. So you can see where we are now. I don't know if you'll recognize it from this morning's game drive, but this is where we saw the hyenas. When we had those 4 playing hyenas, this is where we are, that big open area. It's a great place for these sorts of plains game. You know, these animals that live out in the grasslands in the plains area. It's like the zebra, the wildebeest, the impalas, that's the one. Maybe even some jackals. And you can see these ones probably coming out now. There's a water hole maybe 3 kilometers behind us. Maybe they went there for a drink in the heat earlier, and now they're just moving back through this area, just feeding as they go, looking for little patches of shade. You can see those ones there in the screen just moving into the shade, because it is very hot here this afternoon. The day turned quite quickly from this morning. You can actually see where they're going. Looks like there's maybe even a young one over there. Yeah, there, that one in the middle. You can see significantly smaller, a lot thinner than the rest. It looks like they're heading into that tree line. Matthew is wondering how hot it is here. So Matthew, if you just give me 1 second, I will tell you that it is 27 degrees Celsius, Matthew. If you don't do that, you work in Fahrenheit, it's about 80 Fahrenheit. So it's hot. It's hot. You know, these animals, you got that coat, the fur, you got those black stripes. It gets warm. You know, you'll see the same thing now when we carry on driving. Maybe we find some wildebeest and the impalas that I mentioned. A lot of the animals will be in the shade. A lot of them will be in the shade. It's much more manageable. Okay, so we got the age-old question from 14-year-old Alfie and 12-year-old Joel, wanting to know, are zebras black with white stripes or white with black stripes? Now, you two, I have never actually like shaved a zebra or, been extremely close to a zebra. It's hard to see from here. We'll see if we can find some more zebras, but on the inside of their legs, around the sort of knee, elbow area, there's a little black patch, a black circle, and that circle is their skin. So their skin underneath is black, and then their fur has a bit of white on it. Well, it is white. So if you ask me, my opinion is they are black originally, and then they have white stripes. So I say they're black with white stripes. But that's just my opinion. Owen, what do you think?
White with black.
Owen's being difficult, and he thinks white with black. I was talking to Rowan yesterday, and Rowan says apparently females are white with black stripes. I'm joking. He did not say that. But no, it's yeah. It depends who you ask, guys. It depends who you ask. I don't know if you can hear that. I'm going to keep quiet quickly and just listen. There's a jackal calling. There's some birds calling. So of course now that I stop, they also stop. So now we're just pretty much listening to the wind. Oh, there we go. Apparently you can hear it a little bit. And there was a battalier circling above us. There's a few vultures in the distance. Now these guys are really enjoying this weather. It's a lot, it's much easier for them to fly in this sort of heat. You can see there it's just pure blue skies, a couple clouds. But it's very, very beautiful day. What we're going to do, those zebras headed into that tree line there. That's our boundary. That's another reserve on the other side. So local question from 9-year-old Eva, who lives in Pretoria. So Eva wants to know, why do zebras put their heads on each other's backs? So you'll find it very often when they're just sort of relaxing, they're standing in the open, one will face this way, one will face that way, and then they will put their heads on each other. So, there's a number of reasons. It helps them to watch different directions for protection. They're watching sort of each other's backs. Also, by putting your head there, you're closer to the other one's tail. So as the tail sort of flicks, it keeps all the flies away from the face and that sort of thing. It looks really cool when they do that, just for photography-wise. So I don't know if they think about that. And it also helps them just to blend in. You've got two zebras standing sort of side by side like that, and the stripes all mix. And it's very hard to differentiate sort of between the zebras and which way it's facing. So let's say the lions see the zebras, they don't know which way to hunt from. So could be a reason like that. But what we're going to do, we're going to carry on here. We're looking for the lion, seeing what we can find. In the meantime, we're going to send you back across to Juma with Dave, who has managed to find the Nkahuma pride again.
Very warm welcome from us and Nkuhumas this afternoon. We came straight here to where Tristan left them this morning. I don't imagine that they've moved too much. A very warm welcome from myself, David Hancock, and BK on camera. It's lovely to be out here, lovely to see lions. Well done for finding those guys, Tristan. It's been a few days since we had a large cat, so very, very cool. Leon, he's 6 years old. Good afternoon, welcome to the show. You've asked, how can a lion tell when other lions that it meets are members of its pride, and not maybe a strange lion from somewhere else? And although sight plays a role, I'm sure that the bond that holds them together, above all, is smell and scent. Every lion has a smell, and they emit hormones. That's why sometimes members of the pride, well, more than sometimes, quite often, will do lots of allo grooming, which means they groom each other like this female is doing right here. She's grooming herself, and then sometimes they'll groom others. They re-establish a bond, and there's a very deep bond that runs in the lion pride. I'm sure they know each other by smell as well as by sight. She's trying to get those difficult places on her neck. Looks like she's struggling a little bit. Very important to keep clean. Emily, age 9. Hello, and thanks for your question. You've asked, is there a reason that lions have manes? And there's a very important reason. The males have big manes because they need it as protection. Remember, the hair on a lion has many functions. It obviously keeps them warm and helps them to blend into the bush, but most importantly, it's about protection. All those little hairs together form a little bit of a shield or a barrier against sharp things in the bush, which could be thorns, and they can also be other lions that might be fighting. So when male lions live in the bush, they often have disputes and arguments, and oftentimes they end up fighting. And they try and bite at each other and scratch at each other, and that hair around their neck is specifically designed to protect them from potential lethal injury. It allows them to fight and sort out their problems without getting injured. Well, I'm very glad we got to catch up with these Nkuhumas. I'm glad they haven't moved. We're going to be spending some extra time with them this afternoon, but while we do that, let's send you over to another pride of lions, the Birminghams.
Okay, so yes, we managed to find the Birmingham Pride. Frustratingly, about 70 meters away from where we saw the hyena walking into the sunrise this morning. And I believe they've actually been here the entire day. There's just flattened grass everywhere. And I think they've just been behind the bush when we were here this morning and we just missed them. I mean, look at that. Okay, not specifically what she's doing now, but we'll zoom out later and then you can see how well they're camouflaging. But you can see now she's moving. She's gone to the toilet now. She moved from one patch of shade. Now she's probably going to lie down right there in another patch of shade. Because as we were saying with the zebras, ooh, she might, okay. So you see that, hey? I sit here and I tell you, you know, it's really, really hot. The lions are going to be lying in the shade. Look at all of them in the shade. And then she lies down with, I'd say about 60% of her body in the sun. It's very strange. You know, you think you know these animals and you come up and you experience things and you come up with certain hypotheses, and then they're just like, no, not today. We are not listening to you. But I mean, it's amazing what I was going to say earlier, is how well they camouflage in here. I mean, around here there are, what, 12 lions spread out here. I mean, you can see where Owen has just zoomed out. And you can barely make out those lines. You can see the little white one in the middle. But then all the rest, you can see one tail wagging. On the right-hand side, there's another 2 lions further behind that bush. They camouflage phenomenally well. See, there's that one. Even further right of that one, there's another 2 that you actually just struggle to see. Oh, they're in there somewhere. There they are. I mean, it's fantastic. And the thing is, okay, so we got a question from 7-year-old Arjun. And Arjun is wanting to know how often hyenas steal kills from lions. Sorry, Arjun, I'm going to interrupt you. Owen, just go to the one in the middle there at the back. Just look at the one lion sleeping there at the back. It's like on its back, hand on the chest, legs in the air, mouth open, just passed out. Just passed out. This is like what a dog does at home. But Arjun, so how often do hyenas steal food from lions? Sorry, Arjun, I will come back and answer your question, I promise. We just get a comment here from FC and Lundeku saying that this is how her dad sleeps. And it reminds her of that. That's the other one. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, these lions, they get very comfortable. They get very comfortable. We think they ate last night. And some of them look to be a little bit full. So they might be lying on their backs like that just to rest their stomach. And that brings us back to your question, Arjun. So a pride like this, 12 lions, hyenas will pretty much never steal their food. It's just too many lions. You know, to take on 12 lions like this, given only 4 of them are adults, but still you'll need probably close on 15, maybe 18 hyenas to challenge these lions. With these cubs, maybe even 20 hyenas to actually get brave enough to challenge these lions to fight them for a carcass. So it doesn't happen very often. You know, that lioness with the cubs, because she's by herself, you know, it might take 5 or 6 hyenas and they might be a bit braver and they might do it more often. But from a pride of lions, very seldom will hyenas in this area steal their food. Very seldom. But what always sort of stands out to me, that one's taking that same position. Paw on the chest, legs in the air. But what always stands out to me, you know, that's actually a very good question from 10-year-old Francesca. Francesca wants to know, are there any animals that prey on lions? So Francesca, no, not really. So male lions, if they come into a new area and they take over a pride, they will kill the cubs in that pride. Sometimes they do eat them. Generally they don't. But that's more of a defensive thing, not a I'm going to hunt you down and kill you type of thing. But no, nothing hunts a lion. You know, lions will kill leopards, lions will kill hyenas, they will kill cheetahs, they will kill wild dogs. I have read a number of stories, watched a number of documentaries, mainly up in East Africa, sort of Kenya, Masai Mara, Tanzania, where clans of hyenas number a lot more than they do here. You know, you'll get a clan of 60 hyenas. And if they find a lion by itself, then yes, they will kill that lion. They will attack it and kill it. But here we don't really get clans up to that size that can take on a male lion. So here at Ngala, nothing really preys on lions besides other lions. Now, the only thing that does pride that we are watching, oh, look at that. So you saw all of these lions just lift up their heads. So just above us, 2 vultures just came swooping past, and their wings were making a lot of noise in the air, and they came swooping past, and all of these lions got up to look, or lifted their heads up to have a look to see what was happening. Now, lions are not above scavenging. They will happily watch the vultures, see where the vultures are landing, go and investigate there, possibly steal food from a leopard or a wild dog, whatever it may be. And that's exactly what happened here. The vultures were descending very, very, very quickly. That's why they made the noise. And that's why all of these lions looked up, and then they just saw the vultures landed in a tree, probably have a nest there. So now the lions are going to lie back down. So we're going to spend some time here, just sit, watch them, see if they get up, see what activity happens. While we're doing that, we send you back across to Juma with Dave and the Nkahuma Pride.
Well, not much activity on these guys either. It's going to be a while still. It's still nice and warm. They're going to lie here for quite a while, would be my guess, but sometimes you get proved wrong. And they get up and go midday. But not yet. They look very content here. Female is moving around at the back there. You can barely see her through the vegetation. Maybe just repositioning. There she goes. Maybe trying to find another nice place to lie down. Oh, bathroom break. Like a proper lady, she's gone behind a screen. Piper, you asked how big is a female lion compared to a male lion. They're both very big cats, but the male is much bigger. It's difficult to compare it to something because when you're viewing a lion from a vehicle, they look big, but not as big as when you see them on foot. On foot, they are enormous. There's a good size difference between a large female lion and a large male lion in weight. It would be a good around 200-pound difference. Both very large cats. The largest cats we have, their heads are huge, their paws are huge. They are solid muscle. See how well camouflaged they are. If you were walking through the bush here, you would never see them until you're right on top of them. And then they'd give a nice little growl. You would have to very quickly, carefully get out of the way. Boston Seacrest Studios, you asked how long do lions sleep every day? They do sleep a lot. Varies very much on what their needs are. If they've got a full belly, then I've seen them sleep all day, 24 hours. They just lie there for a couple days. If they've had a really big feed, I'll just get up to urinate or defecate, or maybe get some water. But if they are hungry and they haven't had a feed in a couple days, then they'll generally spend the majority of the heat of the day from around 8 to 9 in the morning until around this time, 5, 6 o'clock. And then they'll slowly start getting up and moving, and seeing what they can find to hunt. During the night, it's not a full-on route march. They will stop and lie down and appear to sleep again, but they're not really completely passed out. They're always listening, always smelling, always working their way into the wind, and then one will get up and walk a couple hundred yards, stop and lie down, listen, and the others will get up slowly and follow on, and they might spend 20 minutes here and an hour there and 10 minutes on there in that patch, and they just carry on like that. So it varies depending on what their needs are, but they do sleep a lot, the majority of the daytime hours for sure. Adam, you're 9 years old. You've asked a great question. How many teeth does a lion have? Oh, I'm going to have to think back now to the last time I saw a lion skull. And try and mentally count. Let me think. So there's the canines. You know what those are. And those are the big ones in the front that do the biting and the piercing that we have as predators. Even humans have them. Obviously not as sharp. And then they've got the shearing teeth that run along the back, as well as the teeth between the canines. Remember, those teeth at the back aren't molars like herbivores have, like an elephant for example, that are big and flat and made for grinding grass. Canines, the molars that you could call in the cat, in a feline, have a carnassial shear. That's what they're designed for. So they like molars, but they're a lot sharper. They're made for chewing meat and tearing meat as they pass each other. And they've got a handful on either side, so if I would guess, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'd say probably around 20, maybe a couple more total, but that stands to be corrected. I'm going to be taking note of that next time I see a lion skull. I'll try and get a photograph when it yawns and then try and count the exact number, but obviously you wouldn't see them all. Well, that was a great question. I'm going to be speculating now about lion teeth, but while I do that, let's send you back over to the other lion we have on Ngala.
So we are still sitting here with the very lazy Birmingham Pride. Not much happening from their side. We had one of the youngsters, the youngest male amongst the cubs, just got up and moved further to the right and then lay down again. Now, because remember, as I said earlier, it looks like they have eaten something. Nothing big, something small, but they did eat a little bit last night. So that would make them very lazy. That, coupled with the heat, it'll make them very, very lazy. They're just trying to digest, keep their body temperatures nice and low. It's tough here. You can see there's shade, but there's not a lot of shade. I mean, look there in your screen, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lions all in that little patch there. You know, it's lucky lions are very social animals. So, you know, lying close together, I guess, being social, I guess, is perfectly fine. You know, they're not going to fight each other. Then look at that. You know, this beautiful one. She's lying in the sun. I'm surprised she hasn't moved yet, because it is just so hot. I mean, we're sitting in the sun here. It's very warm. Very, very warm. So I'm surprised she hasn't moved yet. And you can see the rest of them mostly in the shade. And they're all just trying to find a little piece. A little piece to enjoy. I was talking to some of the other guys earlier, like this week, you know, and the Birmingham Pride has spent a lot of time out here in the eastern parts of and beyond Ngala, which they have done before, but not this frequently. You know, they're now spending, the last couple of sightings we've had of them have been out here. They spent 10 days off our eastern boundary, maybe 2 weeks ago. And I won't be surprised if tonight they cross out from where Rowan had them yesterday to where they are now. They've moved maybe 2 kilometers further east. And if they head another 600 meters, they're then out of and beyond Ngala. So it's a bit strange, you know. We don't know why they're moving this way. You know, what's happening in the western parts of the reserve that is sending them out to the east. Yeah, it is. Okay. So William, little 9-year-old William, wants to know, what time do lions hunt? You know, do they have a preference? So William, yes, they do have a preference. Lions would prefer to hunt at night. You know, hunting at night is much, much better. Firstly, as we'll say now, you can see they're all in the shade, trying to keep nice and cool. You can imagine, for them, William, trying to hunt in this heat would be very, very, very difficult. You know, they won't be able to run very far, they won't be able to run very quickly. Their body temperatures will just shoot up, and they'll then have to use too much energy trying to bring their body temperatures back down. So hunting at night takes that away. They can hunt, they can run, they can do all of that and not have to focus too much on their body temperature. So hunting at night is a lot better for them. Also, you know, you can imagine hunting out here in the open, in the daylight. Very hard for them to hide. Very hard for them to camouflage, William. So at night, the ability to camouflage, to hide, is a lot easier. So they definitely prefer to hunt at night. Their night vision is also very, very good, where their prey is not very good. So I would say definitely at night time, although I have seen them hunt in the day, but they prefer night. But look, what we're going to do, you can see they're fast asleep here. It's still too hot. What we're going to do, we're going to carry on, maybe go to a waterhole, see what else we can find, and then come back here in about an hour or so and see if these lions are then a bit more active. So while we do that, we're going to send you back across to Juma with Tristan, who's got a stalk.
We do indeed. We have a woolly-necked stork. These guys are quite common here in our summer months. We see a lot of them hanging around waterholes like this. And that's just because they're obviously looking for food. These particular storks will eat things like frogs and freshwater crabs and freshwater mussels, and that's what their kind of favorite part or favorite meals are. And so when they find a nice big waterhole or a place where there's flooded areas, then they can obviously find a lot of food there, and so that's why they hang around in those kind of sections. And where we are at the moment is the perfect kind of place, because we have a big dam where they're sitting underneath. They're in a big sort of tree that's there, but you can see this is the dam that's full, and so lots of opportunities to hunt, particularly in the areas that feed the dam. So to the far right and the far left, there's areas that the dam will be able to, or where the dam is starting to recede a little bit. And what that means is the dam is starting to shrink because there's evaporation from the heat of the sun, and that starts to have areas there where there's a little bit of grass and vegetation, and that's areas where things like frogs will hide. And so those guys often are in the shallows in those sections trying to find the little frogs and fish and all kinds of other things that occur in this area. They really are nice birds to see. Unfortunately, most of the storks that we see here have now started to migrate and move back northwards. They've started to head up to Europe in the case of the white storks, and black storks and abdom storks also starting to move away. So the ones that we get left with mostly in winter are the saddle-billed storks, which are beautiful birds. I'm surprised actually we haven't seen many saddle-billed storks. They normally hang around at this time of the year. Again, like I say, when there's a lot of water around, you typically find lots of saddle-billed storks looking for food. Miss Doyle's grade 2 class, you're asking about water and what is the main source of water, and where does it come from. So the main source of water for this particular area that we're in is going to be these waterholes, dams as we call them. And so these are man-made structures that are built on areas that we call drainage lines. Now, drainage lines are basically low-lying ground where it rains, and that rain drains into this riverbed, and that then flows. And if you put a dam wall across that, that then means that the water is held during the course of the year. And so in this particular section, these big water holes is the main source of water, but it actually originally is from rain. This is where it comes from. In the summer, we get almost 600 mils of rain on average every year, and that allows this to fill up and to provide the animals with water. Other parts of this area will rely on rivers, and so that will be like the Olifants River, the Letaba River, the Limpopo, Lavuvu, Sabi, Sand River. All of those will be vitally important in order to do things. Oh, there's a giant kingfisher. I haven't seen one of those here in ages. Are you going to land for us, giant kingfisher? It has landed. I'm going to try and go back a little bit and see if we can get a picture of it, because it's been so long since I have seen a giant kingfisher at this dam. In fact, I'm not sure that I've ever seen one at this particular dam. We see them at Chitwa Dam sometimes, but it's not this side. They're a beautiful, beautiful bird. I don't want to get too close because I don't want it to fly away. So, Alex, I'm going to try and just shift us round a little bit so you don't have to turn too far. But there we go. It's the biggest of our kingfishers that we get out here. And these guys are superb hunters. They obviously, as the name suggests, go after fish. And so what they do is they sit on the edge of the water on these kind of trees. Do you see it there, Alex? Straight in the middle, to the right a little bit. There we go. And they sit on the trees like this, and then they wait until a fish comes near the surface or a frog, and then they dive down and grab it, and then they'll eat it from there. So they're amazing birds to watch. Now, with these guys, you can actually tell whether they are a boy or a girl. This particular kingfisher is a boy, and you can see by his chest area that he's got a bit of red. A girl kingfisher, or giant kingfisher, that red will extend all the way down basically to where her feet are. And so this is a boy that we're looking at the moment. But they're very, very pretty. That's exciting to see this guy. Like I say, the water often brings about nice birds, and it's been a very, very long time since we've seen one of these guys at a place like this. And if we're patient, maybe, just maybe, this kingfisher might fly down. It almost looks like it's wanting to kind of watch the water surface. These guys are not like the pied kingfishers that maybe some of you have seen on the show before, that I know the guys at Ingala have been putting on screen quite a lot, where they hover and then swoop down. These guys don't hover, they just sit in the trees and then fly from the tree in order to hunt what they're looking for. Very, very pretty though. But just back to the main source of water, rainfall is really what we go after. You can also hear the hippos. So there's some hippos in this dam too, and they're busy talking as well, making a lot of noise. When the hippos call like that, they're just talking to one another, just making sure everybody knows that this is their water hole and checking where everybody is, just to make sure that there's no issues. I think in this particular water hole at the moment as well, there's two very definite groupings of hippos. There's one that kind of sits on its own all the time, and then there's a male and what looks like two females that hang around together. So I think it's another young male hippo that's off on his own. He always seems to be lying by himself, away from... There he goes. Oh, kingfisher, there we go. Oh, did you see? Look. It didn't get anything. It tried. That was super cool. Did you hear it going into the water? Well done, Alex. Not easy to track a moving kingfisher. That was very, very cool. When it went down, unfortunately, I don't think it grabbed anything. It was watching, and that's what I was saying to you, is that it sits in hunting mode, and then as soon as it spots something, then it swoops down and tries to grab it. But I think it missed this time. I didn't see anything in the beak as it was flying away from us. Generally, when they catch a fish, you can kind of see the fish shining in their beak, or a frog, you can see it kind of sticking out, because fish obviously have shiny little scales, and frogs on the underside are generally quite white, so you can normally see it. But that was super cool. I was hoping they were going to hunt for you guys. Very, very, very cool. And Ashton from Johannesburg. You're from my old hometown, Ashton. I used to live in Johannesburg. That's where I grew up. You're asking about hippos in salt water and can they survive. So, yes, they can. If you go to a place, Ashton, called St. Lucia, which is down on the eastern coast of South Africa, so in KwaZulu-Natal, St. Lucia, there is a big estuary that flows towards the sea, and the hippos there are in the salt water quite regularly. In fact, sometimes from the beach, you'll see the hippos in the waves, just sitting and bobbing about. They typically like to spend more time in the estuary where the water is calm, but sometimes they'll venture into the waves and you can see them, as well as crocodiles too. St. Lucia is a dangerous place. There's crocodiles, there's hippos, there's sharks, so not a place that you really want to swim too much. But they go there, and then there's a couple of other places, Gabon, on West African coastline. Sometimes hippos go into the ocean in that area as well. So they're quite tolerant of salt, but they don't really like it too much, because ultimately they can't drink it, so that will just dehydrate them. And on top of that, they end up in a situation where the sea is often too rough for them. So waves and things like that, they don't like to be bounced around all over the place. Much nicer to be in a more kind of calm environment like this. But you can see them in salt water. It does happen, and they seem perfectly fine when they are in the salt water, which is pretty cool. It's an amazing thing to see a hippo swimming through the waves. It's not something you expect to see when you go to the sea, is it? The crocodile is more of a fright than these guys, though. And I always go to St. Lucia and wonder, I see people swimming all over the place, and like I said, there's big crocodiles and big sharks and hippos and stingrays and jellyfish, and all the things you don't want to be swimming with are there, and yet people still try and still swim around. Not sure I would be brave enough to swim in that area, that's for sure. It's been very pleasant just sitting at Buffelshoek Dam. But I believe it's that time of the afternoon where the kids' session is or kids' only session is is over, so it is a warm welcome to everybody else that is joining this afternoon. Remember, kids, you guys could still ask your questions. We're not going to just stop answering yours, so fire away if you're still watching. But for everybody else that has joined us, good afternoon. Hope that you're all having a wonderful day wherever you are, or night. We are obviously sitting at Bubblehook Dam at the moment with hippos, but if you have any questions about the wildlife here in South Africa, remember that you can ask using #WildEarth or at FC on the various YouTube chat streams, and we'll try and answer as much as we can. It's always nice when you guys interact with us. It certainly makes the whole experience that much more joyful. Good. I'm going to carry on from Buffelshoek Dam. I want to go just quickly check cheetah cut line, see if there's any sign of Tundi moving around. So while I do that, I'm going to send you back across to David so he can continue explaining the Nkuhuma Pride to you.
Well, we haven't moved too much, just got a different angle here in the shade. Not much action. Going to be heading off shortly and go and see what else we can find. We return to this spot a bit later and see what's happening with Nkuhumas. Right now, just a lot of laying about. So we're busy looking at the core of the pride, the females, the lionesses. They'll stay in the pride for life, with their female cubs staying with them for life if they survive. However, the males will come and go. They don't stick around all that long, depending on the size of the male coalition, the group of males that protects this pride. They might only be with this pride for a couple years before a different group of males will move in and take over. I'm not sure where the males are at the moment, probably roaming about and protecting their territory. But it is these females, these lionesses, that are the core of the pride, the nucleus. Lions together like this are strong. They have each other. They're very social cats, so they need each other to rely on. They need to be able to hunt together, rely on each other for strength in numbers if they have to fight with other lion prides, or catch a large animal. Whereas lions that are on their own, either young males that have been kicked out of the pride or older males that have been kicked out of the pride, will struggle. They can't catch such large animals. They often have to try and find carrion or leftovers caught by other animals, or even eat things like porcupine that aren't very much meat and often end in a bit of a injury. Very often find old male lions on their own that have lots of marks on their faces from porcupine quills. Kelly, age 10. Thank you for your question. You, since talking about the teeth, have asked how do they actually clean their teeth. That's a very interesting question. They don't brush their teeth like we do, and they don't have toothpicks either. So not a lot of cleaning gets done. other than when they eat. There's obviously lots of pressure that gets put on their teeth when they chew cartilage and sometimes bone. That should help with a bit of cleaning, but other than that, not much teeth cleaning goes on. That's why you'll see an older lion, as it gets to the end of its life, doesn't have very good teeth left. It's often just little broken stubs and very yellow teeth. It's a hard life for lions. It starts with the challenges of growing up, trying to survive from youngsters like these cubs here into adulthood. Not all of them making it. It's around 25% of lion cubs that are born actually even reach adulthood for different reasons. And then once they've reached adulthood, they will be in their prime for only a few years. If they're females, generally a bit easier for them if they stay in the pride and they have the protection of the pride. If they're male lions, they'll spend some time on their own, roaming around, getting stronger, looking for an opportunity to take over another pride. Hopefully for them, they've got brothers that they can join up with and have strength in numbers. And if they are successful in taking over a pride, then they have a reign for a couple of years. But it's short-lived. They don't live very long. In the bigger picture, only around 8 to 12 years out here, depending on how many fights they have and what the conditions are like. The beginning of life is hard, the middle is glorious, and the end is sometimes a bit sad. It's just the circle of life out here for lion. I keep hearing an elephant screaming down there in the valley. Do you hear that, BK?
Yeah, I heard it.
I don't know if you could have picked that up on the ambient mic. Just some elephant trumpeting going on. It's either a very scared elephant, something that caused a bit of panic, or it's a very happy and excited elephant. Let's hope it's the latter. Potter, you're 9 years old. You've asked, are the lions pretending to be dead while sleeping? No, they're not pretending to be dead. They're just flat out tired. And so they're just lying down. Some animals pretend to be dead. But not lions. It's generally smaller animals, a couple snake species, and different smaller animals that might be a snack for something else. They can sometimes use playing dead as a tactic. But lion don't really have anything to fear out here. There's nothing that's going to come and try and eat them. Only conflict might be from another pride of females in this area that would want to fight with these females. But that's unlikely, so they've got nothing to fear. They're just hanging out, having a nap. Very relaxed. Dove, you've asked, are the evokers around? That's a beautiful name, by the way. I like that, Dove. I'm not sure if the evokers are around. I haven't been here very long, just a few days now, so kind of getting back into the groove, trying to get the lay of the land. But I did hear Tristan say those tracks that we had a couple mornings ago, those tracks I actually had on this very cut line right here. He speculated they might be the evokers. They may have moved through. Not exactly sure where the Nkuhuma and Avoca boundary line is. Territories with lions differ quite a bit depending on where and how much food availability there is in the area. Generally in bushveld like this, where there's a decent amount of food, some good cover and good water, they could protect an area for say around 40 square kilometers, and they will defend those areas fiercely. If males from two different coalitions interact or meet each other, they will have a fight about it. But I'm not sure where the Avocas are, Dove. I'll ask Tristan when last he's heard about them. I'm going to sit here a little bit longer, see what happens before heading off, but let's see what else is happening out and about.
We've got what the Nkuhumas will so desperately be after if they can pick up the scent, because they weren't full this morning. So one of these guys would be a welcome treat for the pride. And I suspect they'll need the Avocas if they are to hunt down some of these guys. They're unfortunately right on the northern boundary. They're just north of Buffelshoek Dam. But it looks like they might start turning down towards the dam itself. And I suspect if they go deep into Djuma, that the Nkuhumas are going to be on their tail very, very quickly. In terms of the Avocas, though, the last I heard of them, I mean, depends which ones we're talking about. The southern Avocas, I haven't heard much about them in a long time, which are the ones down in the southern parts of the Sabi Sands. But the three Avocas we see, Darkmane was seen yesterday on the border of Manyeleti and Buffelshoek with the Talamati pride. And Blondie and Mohawk were seen with the Nkuhumas 2 days ago. But the tracks of... Hold on 2 seconds, somebody on the radio talking to me. Copy that, thank you very much. The tracks of the boys were with the pride this morning, so I suspect that they're not far away. I'm sure they're somewhere on Djuma. Hopefully they'll start roaring tonight, and that will give us a good indication of where they are. But you can see that this is a decent-sized herd, and the one thing I want you to watch when you look at this herd is just look at the tails and ears of these buffalo, how they never ever stop. It literally is just this constant movement of tails swinging back and forth, ears flapping back and forth. And that's all because of the number of flies that follow buffalo around. They are constantly harassed by flies, particularly when they've been mud wallowing like this lot has been doing. The flies are congregating on them basically to pull the moisture off of them and sequester moisture off their body. And so they are inundated with biting flies, and it really drives them crazy. And if you watch carefully, every single one of them has a tail that's going and ears that are flapping, and it is all constantly trying to just keep flies off their body. It must be horrendous to be a buffalo. They generally are covered in flies, and you don't notice it because of their dark colored coat. But there is a lot that are kind of gathered, particularly on their flank areas. They seem to get a huge amount that settle in those places. Now, I'm not sure if they're actually going to go to Buffelshoek Dam from here, because it looks like they've been wallowing in this area, so maybe they won't go for water. I'm not sure, but it would be good if they go further south. Louise L., how many buffalo are here? Probably say about 50, maybe a bit more than that. Let's count. So basically, generally when you see herds like this, the easiest way to work out how many buffalo you have around you is to count them in groups of 10, and then you just kind of work out how much those 10 occupy in terms of space, and then just sort of roughly guess that through the herd. So I reckon we're sitting at about 50 to 60 buffalo. So this is not a huge herd of buffalo for us. It's a nice size herd, but it's not a huge herd. Big herds within the Sabi Sands pre-drought were herds of 1,000. So you can imagine what that looks like. But generally, pre-drought, we were seeing herds of 300 to 500. That would be a decent sized herd, whereas now a herd of 50 to 100 is fairly decent, just because of the drought having such a huge effect on the numbers of buffalo. And if you go to last year and the year before, we saw so few buffalo over the course of those 2 years. It got to the point where, it was actually a bit ridiculous. I think I went almost 6 months or 7 months without seeing a buffalo at one point, which is crazy. So it's really nice to now start seeing these herds spending a lot more time back at Djuma. It's going to be a huge motivation for our lion prides to be on the property a lot. And so, always nice when you get big herds of buffalo. What I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to just quickly shoot around. And the reason why I want to is I want to just get to the side where the buffalo are crossing. And for a specific reason, that I want you to listen to the buffalo when we go to this crossing point where they're going over the road. The noise that buffalo make is amazing. Between the hooves and the snorting and the oxpeckers and the flapping of ears, it's just this constant kind of noise that comes from them, and there's grunts and bellows, and it's why lions are really good at finding buffaloes, because the buffalo don't do themselves any sort of good. They typically just end up attracting more attention than they should, because of all of their bellowing and grunting and carrying on that they perform. Just taking it slow because the grass is a little bit long here, so sometimes you get sneaky stumps that are hidden in the grass. And when you get a sneaky stump, one can end up flying out of the vehicle, as I've buffalo is the same for, well, would basically be by a human. There we go. All right, good. So sorry, we broke up a little bit. I was going to say social distancing for a buffalo is the same as walking into an area that is filled with corona patients and being coughed on. Being away from the herd is an almost guaranteed death sentence when it comes to these guys. They get picked off much easier if they're away from the herd than if they're in the herd. The strength of buffalo is all to do with staying together as a unit, unless, of course, you're a big buffalo bull, in which case you've got the strength to actually be able to keep things like lions at bay. Now, I'm just currently scanning the herd at the moment to try and see if I can find you a yellow-billed oxpecker. If we're going to see yellow-billed oxpeckers, buffalo herds are probably the best ones to find it. So while I scan, I want you just to listen, like I was saying, to the noise these guys create as they feed in the area. Pay attention to the sound of their breathing and how you can even hear them plucking the grass as they feed. It's a pretty special thing to pick up. In final control are telling me that the sound is amazing, which is super cool. I'm glad that we can hear all the noise of this herd. And you can imagine for a lion with sensitive ears how noisy this must be, and it's almost like a dinner bell being rung for them. sure a lot of you might be curious, those of you that watched this morning, as to what ended up happening with our hyena that was running around sniffing the ground. I know some of you would have been wondering if we've picked up anything. We followed that hyena, Alex and I, all the way to Simbambili after drive. It was not easy. It kept running in and out of bushes and thickets, and it still was nose to the ground, but it ran all the way up towards the northern corner of Simbambili. And so I don't know if it went towards the wildebeest kill that was close to the gate, because it wasn't far from the gate when we lost it. Eventually lost it in a very thick area. But there was no trees, big trees around there that had any sign of anything in it. I was looking in all the trees as we were going. So I suspect that hyena this morning was either that wildebeest, but it's a long way for a hyena to pick up a scent of something dead, or there was vocalizing from that kill that maybe it heard and it went in that direction. But I think it was a territorial story. The way that hyena had its nose to the ground the whole way and was running on those tracks, it looked quite amped up. It even started to salivate a little bit, and when animals start to salivate, it's generally when they start to pick up other animals from the same species that shouldn't be there. So you see it in lions and leopards. When they start to come across competition, they start to salivate heavily, and that's just an amp up of their adrenaline spiking in preparation for in case they have to fight. So it was an interesting thing to do, but unfortunately it was just moving too fast for us to go with it all the way to wherever it was going. This is cool though. You guys are noisy eaters. Trying to watch very, very carefully in this group to try and point out how the calves of buffalo feed, which is different to a lot of other animals. It's not always easy to see them doing it, particularly in this mode where the herd is quite stationary. But most animals, when they suckle from their mothers, will typically come from the side of the mom, and they will suckle that way, and it requires the mom to be stationary, and then the baby comes up, and we see it with elephants and impalas and kudu and all those kind of things. Baby comes to the side, mom stands still, and they have a drink. Now, because buffalo are herd animals that move quite a lot, and because of the fact that they get hunted heavily by lions, the herd can't stop every time one buffalo needs to drink. Can you imagine in a herd of 1,000 how many times the herd would have to stop? It wouldn't go anywhere. So what they do with these little ones is they suckle in a very different way to normal animals. They suckle from behind their mother, and so as the mother walks, the baby comes in between the back legs and is able to access the teats like that and to drink milk. And it means that mom can keep walking and baby can keep suckling, and they don't actually have to worry about stopping and being detached from the herd. They can keep up with the herd and baby can still get its milk. It's not to say that they won't suckle from the side. They do still do that, but when the herd is on the move, it allows these guys to be able to keep drinking and therefore not to be put in danger by dropping off the back. It's a really cool thing to see. The only problem, if you're a baby buffalo and you're behind your mother and suckling like that, is mom sometimes is very disrespectful and poops on your head, which is not a nice thing, because baby, for buffalo in general, when they poop, particularly in the summertime, when the grass is green, is not a very solid consistency. If you're an elephant, it's one thing being pooped on by your mom, because an elephant has a kind of ball of dung or a bolus. These guys, it's more a patty, and that goes splat on your forehead. It's not a very pleasant experience, and I would imagine would lead to the odd family feud when a patty is deposited square in their face. I've seen it before. It's not funny. This poor buffalo little baby looked terrible. It had this like poo just dripping down from its eyelids and its nose, and the look on its face was the kind of bombshell look where it is just is like, well, what has just happened to me, and what did I do to deserve to be pooed on? It was actually very, very funny. Mom didn't look quite phased at all. She was probably like, it happened to me when I was growing up. It's part of part and parcel of growing up. It's like the transition for a baby to become an adult. Anyway, hopefully we won't see any of our baby buffalo being showered in poo. But if you are enjoying the sights and sounds of these buffalo and their antics and stories that we tell about them, please do consider supporting us. You can just follow the link below. Like I said, it's going to take an entire community to keep all of this going, and for us to keep bringing you the wonders of the African wilderness. You guys make me laugh, you know that. But I must admit, I love a baby buffalo. You know why I like a baby buffalo? Is because sometimes they look at you and they so they look at you and they kind of smile almost. Sometimes they like put their little noses up and they're trying to sniff you, but as they sniff they crunch their nose too much and it kind of lifts their front lip, and then these two big buck teeth stick forward. I'm sure somebody must have a screenshot of it, because we've seen it a few times on the show, where these little baby buffalo with these two little teeth sticking out, and they look very nerdy. It's like you want to just go put a little pair of glasses on them, and potentially a little wizard cloak and make them like a little nerdy wizard. I don't know why, or a lab coat and they can be like a little nerdy lab assistant. I don't know why I get that vision, but it's true. They get these little buck teeth in the front, and they like bright white because they're still so little. It's very funny when they do it. I love a little baby buffalo when they're like that. Very, very, very cute. You'll see there's one just in front here that's kind of come out now. Hopefully when it comes out it's going to sniff us, and then we might get a chance to see its little front teeth. It will be absolute quality if we get one of them doing it for us. It will make my day if I get to see a little buck-toothed buffalo calf this afternoon. It certainly is a funny thing to see. But what you will notice also is that these little babies are of a different color to the rest of the herd. The rest of the herd is a dark coloration. It's got a kind of almost a blackness to it, whereas the babies have a light brown color, and that's so that they can blend in the grass. Remember, a lot of the grass is quite light in coloration, and so these light buffalo, especially in the cat's eyes that don't see very rich colors, that almost is much harder to see than the dark brown that the adults are. So it's a clever coloration. Are you going to smile for us, little buffalo? No, you're going to put your head back down and carry on eating. Dick, sorry, if you can just repeat your last comment. I'm getting a bit of breakup where I'm sitting. Unfortunately, it's a little bit low down where I am, so it's not clear. Okay, there we go. Well, I'm going to sit with these guys. I'm going to enjoy their company and wait and see what else happens and which way they head. In the meantime, though, I'm going to send you all the way up to and beyond Ngala, and I'm sure the lions up that side of the world would love a herd of buffalo to come past pretty quickly.
Okay, so look what we have here. Beautiful looking lion. And as you can all see, it is the young Birmingham male. He is looking really stunning. You can see here in the picture now a full stomach. Looks like he did manage to get quite a substantial meal, which is fantastic. It is very good. You can see the very heavy breathing, like that hyena we saw this morning with that big belly. The quick breathing. He is very close to this bush in all the shade that he can find. So I think this is the best condition he's been in the last couple of days, even couple of weeks. It's a relief to find him, to see him. We've been following his tracks. Haven't actually found him, but we've been following his tracks, and now to see him again is really great for us. So now you can actually see we get that injury at the back. We get a lot of messages. Yeah, we're getting a lot of messages. You know, everyone's getting a lot of messages for updates, you know, about him and how he's doing and all of that. So we are trying to keep everyone updated as much as we can. If we haven't replied to your messages, we do apologize. We do try. But look, you can see that leg, you can see the injury, it's still there. The injury itself, the outside, the superficial wound has healed. You can see the scars there, the scabs that come over, is perfectly fine. You can see there he's moving the leg. It's still very swollen around that knee, elbow area. But he's got a bit of mobility. We haven't seen him stand up, we haven't seen him walk. So we're not sure in terms of pressure and that sort of thing. But the good news is, guys, he has eaten. Exactly. Cindy Lou, it is fantastic to see him alive and well. It is amazing. You know, the amount of concern that you guys have been sharing with us, you know, on the Ngala page, on mine and Rowan's personal pages, Nikki Eric's personal pages. You know, it has been really overwhelming to see the affection and concern that you all have for him. And we are just as relieved as you are to see him with a full stomach. If you actually look carefully there, you can see his face. Look at his bottom eye. So his right eye, when he looks at us, his right eye, our left side, you can see there's a little bit of black just around the edge of the eye. Most likely from the tussle that he had. I'm assuming he would have stolen the food that he ate. You know, he's not in a condition to hunt. Again, we haven't seen him walk, but I doubt he's in a hunting condition. So he would have stolen that maybe from a hyena, but most likely from a leopard. Could have been that the leopard fought back. Just one swipe before it ran, and it got him in the eye. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. But he's just such a stunning animal. Like when we started, and OD was zoomed in on the face. Oh, he's got such a handsome male with a stunning face. But hopefully he's going to look this way. So you can actually see what I'm talking about with the eye. So there we go, almost. So you can see just at the edge of the eye there, that bottom eye. There you can see on that white little eyebrow on the bottom eye. You can see that little bit of black. And that is new. He hasn't always had that. That is very new for him. And that's why I think he got it in a fight with whoever he stole the food from. But we know he does need the food more than whoever he stole it from, so I'm not too concerned. So 10-year-old Sierra wants to know, do they get things stuck in their ears? Sierra, I have never seen anything, maybe a tick, but no, nothing else stuck in the ears. If you actually have a look at the ears there, you can see it twitching quite a lot. So there's a lot of flies buzzing around his ears. And you can actually see a lot of hair there. Look inside that ear. There you see a lot of hair in the ear. And that hair will help sort of keep the ears clean. You know, like your eye, you have eyelashes that, you know, notify you if anything's coming close to your eye, so you close your eye. So, you know, if he's got something sticking in his ear, it will hit one of those hairs, and you can flick his ear or move his head, something like that, to prevent things from going into his ear too much. You can see he's getting very, very irritated with the flies, constantly shaking his ears. Look at his eyes also twitching. You know, the flies are going everywhere. They're going around the nose, the mouth, the eyes. They do it to get to the little bits of moisture. They do it to us as well, sitting here in the car. On a hot day, you'll get them flying in your ears, your nose, your eyes, your mouth. So Ashton, that's a very good question. So Ashton's 9, and he's wanting to know, do lions have spot patterns above their whiskers like the leopards do in order to help with identification? So if you zoom in on this lion's face here like we were, you can see there are no spots, no dots, nothing around his eyes, his forehead, his whiskers. You know, there's no dots and spots in there. So Ashton, no, they don't have that spot pattern in order to identify them. But while we zoomed in there, you can see the scars. So look at the scar just across the top of the nose. You can see one just above the eye. There we go, right in the middle of the screen there. You can see that scar across the top of the eye. So a lot of lions will have scars like that, especially the males. Ashton, they fight with each other, they fight over food. This one fights other animals to steal their food. So they will get a lot of these scars, and you can learn to identify them based on the scars. You know, they'll have one unique scar that maybe goes diagonally from one eye to the end of the nose. And you can say, okay, that's a unique one, so it must be now this male. You know, but also for us here, you know, we've all been working here for a number of years, and we know, okay, this male in this area, this age, it has to be the young Birmingham male. You know, there's no other young male lion his age, his size, with his injuries especially now, in this area. So that's how we can identify him. So it's not as specific as individual leopards, but you can still fairly easily identify the lions based on other features. But you can see this one, he's a lot more active than the pride that we saw. You know, he's constantly turning, he lifts up his head, ears twitching, rolling over this way, rolling over that way. And it's mainly because he's full. He's trying to find a comfortable position for his fat stomach. Oh, there, got a bit of an itch. Using the sand to just scratch his head. But that's another thing, you know, the sand is a lot cooler, especially there under that bush. It's been in the shade. You know, he's in the shade, and so that sand is a lot cooler. So he's trying to roll over because he warms up the sand that he's lying on. So when he rolls over, gets the cool sand. The other sand cools down, rolls back over. Oh, big yawn there. Whew. Okay, we're going to spend some more time here. We're going to watch him sleep, see if he gets up, see what's happening. While we wait here, though, we're going to send you back across to Juma with David and his herd of buffaloes. Big yawn.
We've got our second herd of buffalo this afternoon on Juma. We are now in the Muati. A little bit difficult to get to them. We just got a little gap. They're kind of on an island just up of the riverbed. So this is about the only spot we can stop and look at them. If they move from here, then we won't be able to have another look, but I believe we've had some nice visuals with Tristan, and this is just beautiful with that golden light. Look at those ears, so busy, keeping the flies away. Well, these buffalo aren't too terribly far away from the Nkuhumas. I wonder, maybe they will pick up on their trail tonight. Generally, when lions tackle buffalo, they like to have the males with them for added strength, but lionesses are also capable of pulling down one of these beasts, although they are very strong and do put up a good fight. Jordan, you've asked what is the average home range of buffalo. Very much depends on where they are. In drier regions, it's a lot larger. In bushveld regions like this, I'd say buffalo herds would roam in maybe a 300 to 500 square kilometer home range. Perhaps more. Difficult to keep track of them, so it's once they kind of leave your area, it's hard to know how far they go. But they follow the rain and they follow the the green grass so they can go as far as they want to. So they in this region do change a lot depending on the season. And then remember, your older bulls, your Duggar boys that we've spoken about before, as they get older they like to just kind of stick in one area. Often you'll find them in one riverine area and they'll stay there for quite a long time while the herds move off in search of greener pastures. Sierra, you asked, are buffalo born without horns? And they are. And they're babies. But even at birth, you can already feel the little stubs on the top of their heads where their horns will start to grow, and they start growing very soon. You can see the little bald spots, the beginnings of the horns. Of course, that's generally the way it is with animals. It would complicate the birth process if babies already had horns. Beautiful vegetation down here in the river, nice and thick. Speaking of thick, we are completely caught up in a tree. To get to a sighting of these buffalo, we chose the only gap we could find. This is actually one of my favorite trees, so I don't mind sitting in it. This is a leadwood tree. And although leadwoods aren't really known for thorns, they've got very serious spikes. Remember, there's a differentiation where a thorn will be a modified leaf and a spike versus be a modified branch or stalk. I think I got that right. Either way, these are very, very hard, and you don't want to step on them. Look at this one a little bit higher. I'm going to put it down here. This is very hard, and every kid that's grown up out here has, at some time or another, had the unfortunate event of standing on one of these, and they go very deep into your foot. They are very, very strong. They'll easily puncture a car tire. So very common with the leadwood. We're going to try and reverse out of here without getting any punctures. While I do that, let's send you back over to Ngala and see what they're up to.
So we are still watching this lion. He's become a lot less active now, because now as it's cooling down, actually, the flies are starting to disappear, so you can see he's still twitching his ears, but a lot less. I don't know where they go, but they go somewhere. And now he's becoming a bit more relaxed, less irritated. But you can still see him breathing very, very quickly. You know, I think it's just, look how full his stomach is. It's actually, I think it's just physically painful to breathe deeply. So he's just taking these short, shallow breaths. There's no space in his body for his lungs to expand with all of the food that he ate. Be interesting to see. I was chatting with OD, with Owen now, trying to figure out, you know, where he came from, who he might have come across to steal food, or how we might have gotten food. And, you know, last tracks we had were very close to the tented camp, up on the bank. It's generally a thick area, things like inyalas, things like bushbucks, baboons. It's also very good leopard territory. Remember this morning when we had those kudu and we heard the kudu's alarm calling and we thought, oh, there's a young leopard in the area. I would wager he came straight through there. And quite likely that maybe the mother leopard caught something and then this guy managed to steal it. What would happen also, that mother might catch something, try and hide it under a bush, then go back and collect her cub, and hopefully while she was gone, he came in, took the carcass, because then no one was injured, there was no fighting. But then I don't know how to explain his eye. But they could be old. You can see the eye wound, it is black. Looks like it has, whatever it was, is healed. It doesn't look too fresh. Not as fresh as his stomach looks in terms of its size. He ate last night. The thing is, we drove here this morning. We came right down here this morning and he wasn't here. A question from Donna J. Do black lions exist? No, Donna, and have I ever seen one? Donna, I have never seen a black lion. And as far as I know, they do not exist. No. Now, black lions, as you know, we obviously got white lions. You can get black leopards. You also got the black panthers across in South America. But I've never heard of a black lion. No, we definitely do not have one. Donna J? No. I have never read, heard of, seen any tale of a black lion. Just look at all of the flies on his stomach. All of those black dots. Those are all flies. Oh, and I was just telling you now, all the flies are gone. Wheelie Girl saying he looks like he's sleeping under a tropical plant. He's found himself a little his version of the beach. Nice little sandy area. His version of a little coconut tree. It's actually a wild date palm, I believe, that he is resting under. But he does look very happy here. He looks very happy. You know, for all of us who can't go to the beach and find tropical plants, he is doing a good job for us. Look at the yawn coming. Oh, almost yawned. But I'm curious now if you might start calling. You know, where the pride is to where he is actually quite far. Probably close on about 5, maybe 6 kilometers. Roughly. So they would still be able to hear him. You know, there's a lot in the way between him and them. Oh, look, okay, now, everyone, let's see. Back left side. Let's see, no pressure for now. He's kind of putting it on the ground. There, a little bit of pressure on it there. Yeah, it's putting a bit on. It looks to be a bit more... Sorry, he's going behind the car. I don't want to start the car. I don't want to scare him and get him to sort of try and run away. So as soon as he stops, we will turn the car around so that you can all have a look. But I don't want to, scare him and then he runs and puts pressure on and makes it worse. So he's going to wait here for now. You don't want to see what he's taking. He's defecating at the moment, so it's not that special. But you saw that as he was moving. At the beginning, no pressure on the leg. Then as he was probably getting tired from sort of limping and hopping, he put a bit more pressure on it, very lightly, but it seems to have a bit more control of the actual leg. It's not just dangling there or loosely. He's got a bit more control of it, and he can place it. But he's still moving. He's just finished now with his toilet break. He's still moving. So we're going to wait here. While we wait, we're going to send you back across to Tristan at Djuma.
I am on Djuma, but not for much longer. I'm about to go into Chitwa. I just want to go and check around and see. I don't know if anyone's really been driving there much, so be a worthwhile prospect just to go and check around. Maybe Kuchava and the cub. I know Sibui's cub was on Little Gowrie, but there's no sign of Sibui, so worth just going and scratching around. You never know what you end up finding. down there. No tracks or sign for Tundi anywhere on this cut line. I can't see a single track indicating that she's crossed back onto Djuma at any point. It's just those old tracks that David and I saw the other day, which were already a couple days old when we saw them. So I don't think they're in any way worthwhile. The only tracks that I've seen on here are lion tracks before the rain and lots of hyena tracks going back and forth. It's always good just to check these junctions just to make 100% sure that nothing is walking around this area and crossing over, because if she does cross with the little ones, she's going to bring them normally across on a road, and she's not going to go bounding through thick bush with tiny little cubs who having to negotiate thickets. Much easier just to get them on a road and walk them quickly on the road and get them to the next little spot that they're going to be hidden for a while. It's quite sad that she's on this side. I was really hoping that she was going to stay on Djuma. It would have been so much fun just to try and kind of keep up with her and her dens and things like that. And obviously to see little leopard cubs is always very, very special. So hopefully, fingers crossed, he comes back. I think I'm going to turn my attention to this eastern side a lot more over the next few weeks. It's crazy to think that the days went by so fast that it's almost only 2 weeks until I go again, which is crazy. So we've got to try and see if we can find her before then and spend some time with those cubs. Don't want to not see them, that's for sure. What's in front of us? Impalas? I think impalas. Tyler, 2 or 3. So what you'll see is that in the beginning part of the rut, as soon as an impala starts to snort, everything looks at it and watches. But by the end of the rutting season, they start to realize, no, these guys are rutting and they're making a lot of noise based off the rut. And so they're not as sort of interested in the alarm calls as they would be when it's early rut or when the rut is not on. But what you see is when they rut even now is as soon as that impala snorts, everybody just turns and looks and watches the impala's body language, and then it's often followed by a series of other snorts and then that gargling sound, and then everybody knows, okay, they're just rutting. But if they see that snort and then that kind of impala bolt upright with its ears and eyes focused forward, then everybody pays a lot more attention to what's going on. And then hopefully you hear the others start alarm calling, and then you know it's actually something there. So yeah, I mean, animals are pretty perceptive things. They can read body language as well as audio of the impalas, and then know if they're in danger. Also, the thing is if an impala spots something, so let's say it's like a leopard walking, and it starts to snort, there's generally something else in that area that's going to make a noise as well. So whether it be a squirrel, a bird, or something like that, and the animals will pick up those alarm calls as well, and then they'll know, okay, that combined with that must mean that there's something here. I need to pay more attention and then watch and see what's going on. So as much as the rut is difficult for the animals in terms of they probably get a bit confused at times. Oh, that's a nice waterbuck bull with this light. They will know when it's a legitimate call or when it isn't. It's a little young waterbuck bull, but he's beautiful in this kind of side backlighting situation. Very, very, very pretty. These guys are the best for a backlights subject because they have these big thick collars of fur and they have long hair, and all that hair just kind of catches the light beautifully. So they're a nice animal. Oh, there's some warthogs too. Behind the waterbuck, you may notice some warthogs walking in the grass. They're now going to be trotting away from the waterbuck who so rudely pushed them out of place. I think they've been having a little wallow at the pan that is close by. Now, it's crazy to think that my first ever game drive, funnily enough, with WildEarth that I did, not my kind of interview drive, but my first drive, I actually had Karula at this exact waterhole on my first ever afternoon. So maybe we'll get lucky this afternoon and another leopard will arrive here. That'll be nice. it would certainly bring back some good memories. She actually had a kill behind us a little bit, and she came here to drink, and she had Shangila and Husana with her still at that point. It was a very cool sighting, that, and I thoroughly enjoyed spending time with her that day. Very sad when you think about it. She was such a great leopard for us. So she was phenomenally relaxed and loved to lie in a tree, something that our leopards we currently have on Djuma are not fond of. They typically are not huge tree cats. Tandi, Tlalamba, and Shudul is not too bad, and Sasek is not too bad, but Tandi and Tlalamba certainly not, and the boys very seldom are tree cats. You don't see boy or male leopards being up in trees very often unless they have kills. That's the only time they typically go up, is when they have a kill nearby. Alright, so then we're going to leave these guys. I'm going to go do a little loop around while we've got some light to work with, and so that we can see some tracks. And while I do that, I'm going to send you to David, who I believe was looking at some sand earlier, but I'm not sure what he's up to now.
Not so much the sand, but what is on the sand. We stopped here at some elephant tracks and looked what they were up to. And there you can see the elephant track on the screen. They're all around here, and you'll see, as BK zooms out a little bit, big craters all around that are the remnants of elephant diggings. It's one of my favorite things in the bush. It's just so interesting to me how elephant can smell water just below the surface of the sand. Obviously now we've had a little bit of late rain, not much, but enough to keep some of the pools in the bush going for a while. But as the winter draws on, it gets longer and drier, and the water dries up in the bush, we're going to start seeing lots more digging. And I'll show you what I mean. I've chatted about this before, but I think it's so cool. Just below the surface of the sand, there's crisp, clear water running through this whole riverbed. Obviously, as it gets drier through the year, the water level will drop a little bit. And in the summertime, it gets a little bit higher. Obviously, after the peak of the rains, it'll actually be flowing here. And nonetheless, this is a source of water, whether it's above the surface or below the surface. So if we dig just a little bit, right here in this big elephant track, we should find water. Hopefully not too long, otherwise I'm going to be digging forever. Clear out the sides here so they don't all fall in. And then if we're patient enough, we might even have a drink. You hear the buffalo is still right up there, bellowing. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it from up there, VK.
I can see mud.
Can you see mud? So I'm already into water. It keeps collapsing on itself, but what we do now, if we want to have a drink, is we'll fill this cavity with rocks to stop the sand from collapsing. And then just wait a little while and let the sediment settle. That's not very muddy, but we wait a little while. We'll have clean water. Might even get my mug.
Can you scoop it? Okay,
Yeah, I'll get my coffee mug from this morning. Still got coffee granules in it. How much water's in this hole? Quite a lot. It won't take long. If we're desperate, we could drink it now, but it would be better to wait a good half hour or so. And it'll get cleaner and cleaner. You can see even as I pour it slowly, the sediment stays behind. clean water comes out. Pretty cool. What's also fascinating about this is that it's not just the elephants that'll benefit from this, it's other species like your duiker and your nyala and bushbuck and little things that also need water. They'll come to these little holes at night and they'll also drink it. I've even seen lion doing this. I've seen lion digging for water in riverbeds. Lots of water. That's almost drinkable. But if we had to camp out here for the night, I'd probably still make a fire and maybe give it a quick boil. Pretty cool. There's water where you least expect it. Well, we're going to carry on. Might slowly start making our way back to the Nkuhumas, but on the lion note, let's send you back over to Ngala.
Okay, so we managed, well, he didn't walk very far. I think he's moved maybe 20, 30 meters. And he lay down again. Very relaxed now. He just put his head down sort of right now. He made one very soft little contact call. It could have just been a very deep sigh, but I think it was a contact call earlier. But nothing too serious. He seems quite content just to sort of hang around here. Just rest for now, wait for the temperature to drop before he gets up. But watch his ears, not twitching now. Now actually they're moving slowly every now and then, just sort of scanning, listening. I believe David had a question earlier about lions, playing dead when they're sleeping. And it's actually very deceiving, the lions. You look at him now and he looks fast asleep. But these lions, he is actually very, very aware. He knows exactly what's going on around him. See, the tail keeps switching. Those are some of the flies. But he's very aware. He is listening. He is smelling. He knows if anything comes close, he'll know. If I try and put a foot out of the car now, he'll be up, he'll be looking, he'll be very aware of his surroundings, especially now in a more vulnerable position. He will be a lot more alert, just resting like this. Any sort of bird's alarm calling or branches breaking from elephants, something like that could pose a threat to him, he's responding to. Okay, so just a couple comments from FC, wondering, because of his injury, would he not move to a more sort of secluded area, a more sort of safer area than somewhere like this, out in the open? Now, sort of yes and no, even with the injury like this, the only things that are going to threaten him would be elephants and other lions. Here, I'm sure he does know roughly where the rest of his pride is. When Rowan had them last night, they were further down the river from where he is now. So he might be following their scent. He knows roughly where they are. So what that means is it's a very small chance that there's other dangerous lions in the area. Other lions that could pose a threat to him. So he doesn't have to worry about that. Lying out here in the open with the elephants, yes, elephants will come across the river. But if he's lying in a thicket, it might be a bit harder for him to get away. If the elephants do come, a herd comes through and they're feeding all around and that sort of thing, they might be a bit hard to evade. Where in the river, they will cross the river. They generally walk in a line across the river. He can see anything coming from far away, so he has time to react. And he is actually quite close to a lot of cover. From where he is to the bank behind me is 10 meters. I mean, he can make it up here pretty quickly to the bank if anything does come that threatens him. So, yes, look, it does pose a slight sort of safety risk being out here in the open. But at the end of the day, he is still a male lion. Most things are still scared of him. So he's fine here. I mean, look at him, he doesn't look concerned in the slightest. But it is a good question. You know, if this was a leopard with this sort of similar injury, you'll find the leopard would be in a much more secluded, secretive, protected spot. Exactly, not concerned and fed, very happy lion. There you can see Marcel zoomed in, OD zoomed in on the leg. You can see a couple of flies buzzing around there. There's one actually in that top pink woundy area. There's a fly there, which is not too good. But it's obviously not concerning him, otherwise he can't move and flick it away. But you can see very, very swollen. Look at the leg above it. Compare that sort of very similar area, both that knee joints right there. Look how much more swollen that bottom one is. You know, we were chatting, myself and OD, when you were back at Juma, and how deeply he must have been bitten by whatever bit him for it to, you know, be so swollen still. This is almost 2 weeks later. Yet it's still so swollen. You know, that bite must have been quite something to still have that sort of swelling and all of that. But, you know, he's surviving. He's surviving. You know, just imagine if he was a human, he would have passed away a long time ago with an injury like that, without any help. So these lions, they're very resilient. They can make it through very, very tough times. You know, we're still not 100% sure what's going to happen, but yeah, very much so. So Ndeka from FC saying he's a survivor. She's very proud of him. So am I. He's done a phenomenal job. He's a real fighter. He's pushing through. He's persevering. He's stealing food. And that's the most important thing roughly at the moment. Food, rest. And just time. Time to see what will happen. Now I want to spend some more time here. I want to see if we can get him walking again. He might be, you know, looking for the rest of his pride. As we said, he did make that very soft contact call a little bit earlier. The pride is the other direction from where he was walking, so not ideal. But, you know, maybe he's trying to find an easier way up the bank or whatever it may be. But I want to see. I want to see how he walks and if he calls. We got a comment from Louis de Lion saying that he will be dancing come next spring. Now, Louis de Lion, that would be a fantastic sight to behold, to see him dancing in the next spring. That would be very cool. I love the positivity. Louis de Lion, keep it up. And to think, we actually came down here initially looking for leopards. This is quite close to where we saw that the kudu and the leopard scat earlier this morning. That's what we were coming to see what we could find. And then we find this majestic fella lying in the river. You can see now. So now with that shade gone, well, I mean the sun gone, the shade coming in. Oh, Monique living in London, a wonderful place. Monique wants to know if we have any idea where the Ross males are. Monique, we do not. We do not know. We haven't heard them calling. Well, at least I haven't heard them calling the last couple of nights. Tracks-wise, we haven't seen tracks too recently. Yeah, I would thought maybe we would have found one with the rest of the pride that we saw earlier, but obviously not. So they could be patrolling their boundaries, their territories. They could be with the other prides. They could just be sleeping 100 meters from here in the bush. Monique, I'm not sure. We don't know where they are. All the flies just gathered in like a circle there. You can see he looks pregnant. If we just zoomed in like that, you would be like, oh, look at the lion, pregnant. Besides the fact it doesn't have any teats. He's got a very, very full stomach. And this should keep him going. What, today is Friday. Probably close on to about Saturday night, Sunday, maybe even Monday morning. This food should carry him over. which is fantastic. You know, even just those 3-4 days will make a big difference in his struggle to recover. And if he hangs around here, there are quite a few leopards in the area. Genuine female, Makoti males around here. Depending, maybe Tamburi. But we are going to keep watching the sleeping lion and see if he does do anything. While we wait here patiently, we're going to send you back across to Juma. I think David, who's doing a sunset bumble.
Well, it is a beautiful sunset and it's a good spot to look at it, but it's not quite on the horizon yet. It's still very bright. Still got to pull my head down over my eyes. We left Muwati and headed up onto the ridge, but haven't found anything else just yet. What a beautiful drive. There's so much space out here and so much wilderness. I didn't really get that name. It sounded like Azwath. Sorry if I butchered that. But you've asked the question, does bundu bashing, bush bashing, disturb the animals? And it very much depends on how you enter the bush with the vehicle, what the animal species is, and then the area that you're doing it. So for example, if we off-road here to go and see the Nkuhumas, which we did a little bit earlier today, doesn't disturb them whatsoever. Those animals are so habituated to vehicles that they barely bat an eyelid. They just lift their heads and look at you and then go back to sleep. And we also do it slowly. You do it with respect. You know, there's a personal comfort bubble with every animal. Animals that are used to vehicles, their bubble's a bit smaller, you can get a bit closer to them. Animals that are unaware or not habituated to vehicles, like in many other reserves, will have a much larger bubble. So if you get even within 100 meters of them, and they get very skittish and very afraid. All depends on the animal, depends on the experiences they've had when they were younger. So with every animal, you've got to kind of assess the animal, assess the situation, and then approach slowly. I always go slowly. I try not to make too much noise, try and avoid actually damaging plants and trees, rather try and wind your way through them, but take it slow, you know, put it in first gear and low range so that you're really just crawling, and then you can check in the grass in front of you if there's any little animals or birds or nests or anything that you need to avoid. And with that slow movement, the animal will give you an indication of how it's feeling. If it's uncomfortable, it'll tell you. If it's chilled and relaxed, it'll also tell you. And then you take it from there. So it's not a very straightforward answer, but I hope that helps a little bit. It's all about respect and reading the situation. Karen, you asked, do animals get freckles? Did I hear that right, BK? I think you said freckles. And I'm trying to think of an example that I've seen of animals having freckles. It's hard to say because they're generally covered in hair. And maybe like hippos, sometimes they have little colorations on their skin that could be likened to a freckle. What is a freckle? A freckle is melanistic pigment or melanistic cells and skin cells. So I suppose by definition, yes, for sure, melanistic animals. Animals with extra melanin in their skin will be able to develop freckles. We're getting down to the low-lying drainage again, so we're losing the sun, but hopefully by the time we get up on the other side we'll have a lovely view of the setting. So let us just work our way through here. While we do that, let's send you over to Tristan, who's also on a bumble.
I am on a bumble, but our bumble took a much more serious twist. We just bumped into tracks, we found tracks, should I say, for what looks like Kuchava and her cub together, walking down the road. But I'm just trying to check if they've crossed over Chitwood driveway. Unfortunately, a lot of vehicles have driven here. The tracks look like they're from this morning, so I'm trying to figure out where she went from there, because I don't see any tracks going over the road. They're definitely after the rain, so we know that that's either yesterday or during the night last night or from today. That's the kind of part where it becomes a little bit more tricky. Where she walked is fairly soft sand, so it would hold a track for quite a little bit of time. But I suspect that it's, like I say, Kuchava and the cub. I mean, it looks too small to be Sibuli's. It's not a big track. We'll just have a look around here. I just want to check. There's a quarry area. It doesn't help that the Torchwood Pride was here a few days ago, because there's all these big paw prints from them that I'm looking through, and multitude of hyenas as well. So it's kind of trying to get the tracks in between all of that. But there's a quarry that Kuchava sometimes likes to use. It's quite close to the hang. I don't know why she likes to hang around there, but she does. So I'm going to try and figure out if maybe she's come this way. Come on, girl. Be out next to you. But they look like they've, like I say, from today. I mean, it rained yesterday, or not last night, the night before. So that should really help us to be able to figure out the freshness of the track. It's a little bit further than I thought it would be. The Epic Studios, the reserve itself, the Sabi Sands, is about 40,000 hectares. Or 80,000 acres. If you add Mala Mala into the mix, then that takes it bigger, and obviously it's an open system with the whole of Kruger, so it makes it even larger. If you add the entire open system together, then you're looking at about 2.2 million or 4.4 million acres. And then if you go into a situation where you just do what we traverse on, then we're traversing now with Simbambili about 2 hectares of that particular area. So it's a drop in a very large ocean at times. It's not to say though we won't find what we're looking for. Sands is like the Great Barrier Reef, or a reef of the ocean world. That's what we should call it. It has all of the animals congregating and lots of life on it, and so it's a really prime area within the entire system to be in. See, there's some people that are having a bit of a stop on the airstrip, watching the sun go down. It's a beautiful spot to watch the sunset from. I wonder where this cat went. There's definitely the two of them walking together. So, back to the tracks we go. Figure it out. She likes to hang around on the further, sort of more eastern side of Chitwa. And so I suspect that she might have gone further east rather than come kind of south and west. Particularly because she was moving north, you would expect her to kind of cut up that way. So I'm going to try and find the tracks quickly. Alright, let me just go back to these last tracks and have a real good look. In the meantime though, I'm going to send you back across to David.
Well, we're also heading back to our cats from this beginning of this afternoon drive. See if there's any movement. But always on the lookout along the way, see what else we can find. As that sun drops below the horizon, you can immediately feel a little bit of a chill in the air. It's almost time to stop and put on a coat. Jenna, you're 14. You asked when is the last time that I saw a honey badger? Last time I saw a honey badger, it was in my dustbin outside the kitchen. So, not what you would expect. Wasn't in the bush trotting down the road like they do. It was raiding our garbage bag where I live. My dog barked, so I woke up and I could hear some rummaging around by the trash, and I went outside, turned the light on, and there was Mr. Honey Badger helping himself to chicken bones. A quick look here at Treehouse Dam and see if we see anything. Let's go around the side of the wall for you, BK. Nothing at the moment. Dead quiet. Lots of fish in the water though. Look at all the bubbles on the surface. Imagine there's lots of catfish and bream under the water. If you threw a line in here, you would get a bite. Otherwise, all quiet at the waterhole. So we continue, BK, and see if we can go pick up on our cats before it gets dark. Gizmo, you've commented on the fishing here. Sorry, I didn't quite hear what that was. But I think you said, could I go fishing here? We're not allowed to fish in reserves. But if BK decided to knock me out and steal the Land Rover, then I could probably catch some fish there. Ooh, let's go to Ngala. Enjoy.
Yeah, I think we might try and loop around here. Yeah, thanks for finding it again, Ron.
Yeah, I've got a truck's crossing you, so I'll get to truck her. Guess she lost it. Probably you lose it. She most probably will.
Okay, so we were driving down the road and we just smelt this
Sean, are you
horrible smell, and you can see the leopard down there. I think she must have also gone to the toilet. I thought there might be a carcass in the area, so we're following her in here to see if there is a carcass anywhere, but I can't see one yet. But can you see her there? But you can see she's looking up. So I think she might have a carcass around here somewhere. It smells horrible. It could be the insides. I didn't see any scat of hers in the road. That's why I think there might be a carcass. And you saw her looking up in the trees. Could even be the leopard that the lion stole the food from. And it's the insides that we're smelling here. She tried to hide it here. But you see where she's going down there, that is towards the river. We can't drive down the bank here. So we're going to just stick here. I want to see if she goes down into the river or she comes back up. Oh, it is thick inside of here. But we were saying, perfect for the leopard. Nice thick area. This is where they can hunt if they do have food. There's many trees here for them to take their food up into. I think she's gone down into the river. Okay, we are going to avoid the tree behind us and then loop around into the river and see if perhaps we can catch her out on that side of the river. Oh, that's backwards. Let's go forwards. That's like, we were driving, me and Owen, we're going down the road. We're both like, that smells funny. What is it? We reverse a little bit. We're looking around and I look out my door here. And there's the leopard just standing there kind of looking at us like, how did you guys miss me? Yeah, we are. We are. So right here is where it smells horribly. I just don't see anything. But I'm fairly sure. Hey, Owen, what do you think? She's got something dead here, or she's just gone to the toilet? We're gonna drive. You see, I'm confused. Do I drive quickly and loop around, or is she actually walking? Do you see something? Or has she just walking along the bank and we're actually going to see her here on the road? It's tricky. That's one of the hardest things that I found here with less people around. You know, with more rangers, you can be like, okay guys, she's gone into the river. Oh, was that her? Someone go and loop around to that side. She's walking this way and then they can go around there. You know, now we don't have that. I don't have anyone to loop around to the other side. Sorry, I'm just changing gears here. Yes, so you can see it is getting a bit darker. So Owen is, I think, going to, in a little while, be switching to IR. So if you see the screen change, do not be afraid. And we're not going to do it right now. Okay, I'm going to loop around, obeying the speed limit, to see if we can catch her in the river. Ooh, but that was really, really cool. How awesome. So I think it is. You saw she was walking through that thicket, so quite hard to tell. But I think it's the Nyala female. So what we're going to do, we're going to loop around here. In the meantime, though, we'll send you back across the Juma with David, who has got some of the lionesses.
And look at this, they're all back out in the open. Beautiful. Now I can see the whole pride and the youngsters. Often as the sun starts setting and it starts cooling down, we'll find lion coming out of the thick bush and coming into the open area. Youngster is beautiful. Still got a long way ahead of it, lots of fights and challenges, and grumpy moms. Let's hope it makes it through all of those and grows up in all its glory. It's a very special sighting. It's lovely to see them all together in the open, doing what lions do. As always, we appreciate your support. Please follow that link below on the screen and help us continue doing what we do best, and that's bringing the beauty of the bush to you. Jenna, you reckon this is a cuddle puddle? Does look like it, like a Christmas bed. I don't know if anyone knows what a Christmas bed is. And you throw a mattress on the lounge on a Sunday night and everyone lies on it and watches TV. It's been a very lucky afternoon with all the lion activity. When it rains, it pours. These youngsters, they walk up to the female. See how it's to rub heads as it comes up. It's just reaffirming bonds. Bonds are everything in this pride. Just reaffirm the bonds that keep them together. Together they are strong. Ian, you've asked, can I tell who the leader is here? I remember The males that watch over this pride and are the strongest individuals in this pride are not here at the moment. But as we were talking about earlier, the core of the pride is actually the females. And they do have dominance amongst them. And I am not able to speculate on that, who here is older or more dominant. I haven't watched them. I think this is actually my first sighting of the Nkuhumas. I'd have to spend a bit more time with them and see them interact to be able to speculate on who is most dominant. Got another vehicle joining us on sighting here. In case you're wondering what the noise was. Look at that foot up in the air. Can you zoom in on that pad there, VK? I love those. Looking at the pad. Now you can see where the three-lobed line track comes from. There's a very good example. It's actually quite soft. You'll see them avoiding thorny and very rocky areas. I'll prefer softer sands. Obviously a lot harder than our feet, but not as tough as you may think. Sassy Cassie, you've asked why is it that 99% of the time we see lions, they're laying down or laying flat. And I suppose that's because that's when we actually get to see them. When they're moving, it's a lot harder to stick with them, especially in bush like this. It's thick and not easy to get the vehicle through. They move quickly, so if you're busy tracking them first thing in the morning and they're still moving, you generally only catch up to them once they've gone and lay down for the day, and they'll generally stay there for the majority of the day. So once they've stopped, then we can come and view them. Once they get up and walk and bush like this, it won't be long before you lose them. We should have frozen that and counted the teeth. She's got a very interesting look in her eye. Half asleep, but half terrifying. Like she's not afraid. These lionesses are all peace and relaxation now, but when you get on the wrong side of them, it turns to something that makes you literally shake in your boots. You're on foot with them and they decide to give you a go. And there's definitely an experience to be remembered. But speaking of cats, some good luck this evening. Let's go back over to Ngala, who I believe have relocated on a leopard.
Okay, so we managed to find her again. Now I'm going to ask Owen, can you see her, Owen? Just to zoom in from here. We will go closer. I just want to show you how incredible that camouflage is. So I'm going to point to you. There we go. Fantastic. So that's her hiding in the river here in these reeds. I mean, it is... We drove this road, this part of the river twice today. Twice. And she could have been right here, up on the bank, down in here, up on the bank, down in here. And it is just phenomenal, their camouflaging ability. I mean, so what I was trying to show you there is her head. Her head is there. So what you're looking at on the left-hand side of the screen is sort of the rest of her body, her hindquarters, the backside, that area. And she's just resting in there. And it is phenomenal. I mean, to be able to compare to the lion. This is an uninjured leopard. Perfectly fine, healthy, that sort of thing. But it's a much more secretive spot than the male lion. You know, he's not far from here. He's maybe 1 kilometer to 1.5 kilometers from where we're sitting right now. I don't think either of them knows the other one is there. But just how much more secretive they are. Penelope, yes, thank you. She says, great spotting. So what happened was we were driving along here. Because this is where she came down from these sort of bigger trees. That's where we last saw her. And then me and Owen were looking. We were like, oh, there's no tracks coming here. We were looking up in the trees. So that's the tree that we reversed around and then drove up. And that's where she came down. So we're like, okay, there's no tracks coming out here that we can see. She must be here somewhere. And we actually drove to within 5 meters of her. Didn't see her. We reversed back to have a look at another area. Then I was like, okay, let's just go down there. We don't see anything, we'll go back up onto the road. And we must have spotted her when she was 1.5 meters from the car, just lying there. The camouflage of these cats, it still continues. 3.5 years later, it just blow my mind. Just blow my mind. Obviously on the infrared, which is not what we are, there's not a lot of color. But where she is, these reeds are relatively green. They're a little bit yellow at the bottom. We've got a bit of fluffy grass before the reeds, so there's a bit of yellow, but it's mainly green. And this leopard, who is sort of yellowy, orange, brown, and black, blends in with the green reeds phenomenally well. Exactly, Aquila, what a camouflage. It's not a surprise that we go 7 days without seeing the leopards. I mean, look at that. You know exactly where she is. OD just zoomed out of there. And you still struggle to pinpoint exactly where she is. Let me move my hat there. I mean, I've been talking about it a lot, but it is just incredible how they do that. You'll never know there was a leopard right there. But I'm hoping she is going to move, We did see her up on the road. As, we were saying, it did smell like something had died. She could have just stashed it in a bush, and she's waiting for it to get a little bit darker before she actually moves the carcass. That's potential. Or she actually just went to the toilet there, and now she's just resting, waiting again till it gets darker, and she can go out on patrol, go out hunting, maybe even head back towards her cub. Okay, so we're going to sit here and just watch the back legs of this leopard and hope that she does get up and she does walk. While we're waiting here, though, we'll send you back across to Djuma with the Nkahuma Pride.
Very exciting about that leopard. A little bit more action here. The girls are starting to get up and move around a bit. Beautiful seeing this into action, eh? Can't remember, you've asked about telemetry and collaring of line. If there's any in Sabi sand that are collared, I'm not sure. Not aware of any in Sabi sand, but it is a common practice to collar line in different areas for research purposes. I don't think any here. Shame, she's being a good mom and trying to rid her baby of some itchy mites. All part of being a cat. I'm just going to switch over to IR. It's getting a bit darker now. Youngster is loving this.
One more patient.
Annabelle, you're 10 years old. Thank you for your question. You've asked, do lionesses fight with lions? And generally not, except if lion males come into an area that are not welcome, so unwelcome males come into the territory. Generally they would leave it up to their males to fight with the intruders, and whereas the females would generally fight with other females coming into the territory, so it's generally female and female. But sometimes if the other males aren't around and intruders are coming in to try and do a takeover or are showing interest in the pride, then they will fight quite fiercely and are forced to be reckoned with. And the main reason for that is maternal instinct. Remember, with lion, majority of youngsters don't reach adulthood because of infanticide. So infanticide is a huge factor, and that's when baby or younger lions like this get killed by other males coming in to the pride during a takeover. It's because the new males want to have their own offspring, and the females have a very strong motherly instinct, and they don't obviously want to lose their cubs, so they will fight fiercely to prevent a takeover. If that means fighting fiercely with intruding males, then that's what they will do. Dragon Lady, you've asked if I can do a cub count. I did earlier, and I think I got 7. Let's just double check. Have you done a count, BK? Seven, I'm pretty sure it's 7. And I think I think I'm seeing 7. It's getting a bit dark now, so my eyes are playing tricks on me in the cuddle puddle, like you said. It's hard to see which is head and which is bum. Cindy Lou, you've asked, does the grooming help heal the mange? I don't really think so. I mean, it might remove a bit of mite, but mites breed prolifically, so it's just something they'll have to overcome. Their immune systems will have to overcome. It's common in felids and even other animals. It's not nice to see, and I don't understand entirely what creates or causes mange on one animal as opposed to another. I do believe the immune system and condition of the animal is important. And perhaps the grooming does help. If anything, it just soothes it. I do seem to be doing a lot of grooming and scratching. Well, we're going to sit here a bit longer with our beautiful lions, and while we do that, let's send you back over to Ngala with the leopard.
Okay, so we managed to get a little bit of a different angle here. So what you're looking at now is the side of her face. So she's just faced away. There's some birds alarm calling on the other side of the river. And she just caught her attention. So she's looking across that side. But I heard that, yes, all of you viewers agreed that it is the Nyala female. Oh, there we go. Oh, lovely yawn. Hopefully, oh, she's going to get up. Yes, I was going to say, hopefully that yawn means she's going to get up. Ah, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, we're going to reverse. So everyone just hold on here. You see, so now getting much cooler in terms of the temperature. And we are going to have good fun trying to keep up with her. So we don't want to go too close, because obviously we don't want to chase her, we're just following her. But we've got to stick with her because of all these reeds. If she lies down, she's going to disappear. She is going to disappear. But it's not too far. Let me save those binoculars before we lose those. Until a clearing, which is just here in front of us. And I can still see her just off to the right here. Oh. These reeds are surprisingly sharp. Okay, so she... I just stand by one because I think if we stop here... There she is. So you can all see her a little bit. Now she's going to walk right over my head. Can you see? Yeah, she's going to walk over here now. Now there she goes. She's going, obviously, back up towards the road. Classic leopard behavior. Go where we aren't. But look, while we try and figure out how to get a view of her, to see where she's going, how she's getting there, we're going to send you back across the Djuma, where I think the Ngahuma Pride are also starting to get up and move. That is actually quite beautiful, watching it like that.
Timing is just a little bit off there for you guys. They've just all come past us here, but we'll get another look. One by one, they walked past. I could have stretched out and grabbed a tail if I wanted to. Shame this female at the back looks very sore. She's got a very sore back right leg. Yeah. Yeah, she's right here. I don't want to start the engine and startle her because she's only on 3 legs. I'm trying to have a little toilet stop there on 3 legs. It looks very difficult for her.
Her name is Purple Eye.
Purple Eye? What do you know what happened to her leg? No one knows. Maybe a hunting accident or a festering thorn or something from a leadwood. There, she's okay now. She's done her business. Now we can start up. Injured in a buffalo hunt, I'm hearing in my ear. Well, that'll do it. Lions give it their all when they hunt. It's yeah, let's get past them here so we can see them from the front. Ugh, but they are resilient creatures. She seems to be just fine, having a little bit of a jog there on 3 legs, tripod. Why is she called Purple Eye? Should be changed to tripod.
Okay, so you can see straight in front of us, I'm just changing the lights, we have found her. So there she is, not down the road, scent marking. You can see the tail in the air like that. She is scent marking on the road. This is all now part of her nightly sort of rituals. What she's there, oh, don't go off the road. So she's turning off a bit there. Now she's not going away from us. She maybe heard something, saw something, smelled something, and she's going to investigate. We'll see. Ah, okay, so she's just moving through there. Oh, guys, I think this might be it for us. You can see where she's going. And there, I can just see her tail. She disappeared. And so there you can see her head. Oh, just stunning. That was indeed very perfect timing to catch her scent marking on the road, disappearing in there. I mean, it's incredible. Oh, look, scent marking again on that tree. You saw the tail go up right at the end there. But you can see where she's going. I mean, that is thick, thick business in there. And, you know, for me and Owen to go in there, you might see us on the morning safari as well. So rather than us getting stuck and you being stuck with us for a whole nother day, we were going to leave her. I think that was pretty awesome. Fantastic timing to catch her in the road like that, just coming out, seeing her in the river, catching her moving, just seeing her in general. Incredible. But let us carry on and see what else. I mean, our luck is on our side. You never know what we might find now. I don't see her there, so we're going to carry on. Maybe some owls. I actually want to head back towards the lion, the young male lion. So not the pride. I got an update. The pride were still sleeping, being very lazy. I wouldn't be surprised if the young male is doing the same thing. But let us go and have a look. Let us go and have a look. I haven't heard any calling. Any sort of contact calls from him or the pride. I have heard some hyenas calling, but that is about it. So while we make our way towards this young male, what we're going to do is send you back over to David, I think, with the Nkahuma pride.
And who says lions can't climb trees? Every now and then, they give it a go. They're by no means as nimble as a leopard, but they can climb. Listen to those claws as they tear into the bark. the whole family up the tree. I wonder what they're looking for. Just treating it like a jungle gym. This dead, fallen down Maruda tree. This is probably the most lion that have been in a tree on Juma in years. I had a count of 6 there at one stage. And the vehicle is just still joining us here in case you're hearing that engine rumbling. They are doing a leopard impersonation, aren't they? I agree, he's so frisky. Oftentimes predators will climb onto vantage points. Termite mounds, trees in leopard's case, but in tracking lines, very common to see the tracks go up and down termite mounds. They like vantage points, these cats. MGN, you're asking, what is a jungle gym? Jungle gym is generally a steel structure. I suppose it could be wood. It's got swings and poles and barrels and ladders and ropes and all sorts of things to keep children occupied. Very common in South Africa. Not sure if it's an international thing or not. But most restaurants and pubs and whatnot have jungle gyms out here to entertain the kids. Ooh, Mom. Coming to fetch the youngster. Come down from the jungle gym right this moment. It's time to go. Your father's hungry. This is a typical Simba and Sarabi scene. Beautiful. Camo, you reckon we've all been there with our parents? Most certainly. Don't want to finish playing. Eventually got down. Let's loop around. Just check behind us here, BK. Thanks, man. Moonbee Smith, you've asked, do these lions have dew claws? They do. They do have dew claws. The dew claws are very important for climbing and grabbing, holding on to prey. They all disappeared into the bush. Well, they've just...
Okay, so this is where we are. He's still here. I was going to say this is where we left the lion, but I couldn't see him. But there you can see him. He's still around. Hasn't gone very far. We'll stop over here. Owen, is that okay? You can make that work. We're just trying to see if we got a good angle here. Let's turn the car off. There he is. You see him, he hasn't gone very far. I think he actually just rolled over. But still looking quite lazy. Which is okay, you know, the night has just started. It's still... So I got a really itchy eye. He's still got lots of time. You know, it's only 5 to 6. The night is still fairly warm. He'll probably lie here for maybe another half an hour or so before he starts, you know, really getting active. I'm hoping that he might call for us before then. But look at his stomach. Look at his breathing. It's slowed down quite a lot now. You can see it's still shallow breaths, but it's just a lot slower because now he's not struggling to keep his body temperature down. You know, with the sun gone, it's much cooler in the river. Rosemary saying that this male lion is adorable. Rosemary, he is especially like that. You know, he looks perfect like that. You know, perfectly healthy. You get his tail out at the back there, and his legs stretched out, a bit of a mane coming through under the head. And just got a nice position on the sand. Painted wolf, I hope he is healing. I hope he is healing. We're just going to have to see. You know, it's time. Time is what we're going to have to wait for. And let's see, try to find him as much as we can. Hopefully he keeps eating like this. And we'll see in another week, we'll see in another 2 weeks how he's healing, how he's managing. You never know, maybe he'll just adapt. You know, I was talking to OD here, and he's saying that a number of the Avoca males have little injuries, and they are all managing perfectly fine with injuries. Okay, but you know, I think he's going to be sleeping here. I think we have had a fantastic day, a fantastic evening, quite an afternoon drive with the Pride, him, the leopard. So I think what we are going to do is say thank you very much from me and the lion. Have a wonderful evening or day wherever you are in the world. And we'll see you again tomorrow morning. For now, we're going to send you back over to the Nkuhuma Pride.
Well, just sticking behind this Pride as they move down the road towards the dam. BK reckons they're on their way to Treehouse to have a drink, which makes sense. Looks like they're heading in that direction. I could... Ooh, did you hear that on the ambience? Another screaming elephant in the distance. But I was going to say, if we had enough time, we could probably shoot down to Treehouse and wait for them to come and drink, but I think we might run out of time. So we're just going to stick with them and enjoy them a bit longer. Look at this youngster in the rodeo looking at us. Giraffe girl, lions galore, nothing better, I agree. This youngster is very curious in the vehicle. Earlier when we drove past it, gave a little rush towards it. And now it's just realized it's been left behind by the pride. So it's crapped itself and run off. That's very funny, very cute. So much spunk in these lions, so much personality. What a beautiful evening. I wonder what these lions are going to get up to this evening. If they keep going, they may very well pick up on those buffalo. We shall see in the morning. I think in the morning we come back to the treehouse, see which way the tracks go, and try and interpret what happened during the night. Well, it's a beautiful night it is. The stars are out, the lions are out. What more could you ask for? Well, that's from BK and I. Good night, and we'll see you tomorrow. Cheers.